Pam Loshak is a publicist out of New York, and she joins me now. Welcome to the show. Thanks for being here. This was especially shocking, right, because of Will Smith's mainstream good boy, clean family image. Can he ever get that back?
I don't think it was ruined last night. I think what we saw was a stars are like us moment, you know, where he had a moment and he had a knee-jerk reaction, and it happens.
Let's talk.
It was just a moment. It's unacceptable. He's going to have to deal with the repercussions of it. He's apologized. He's not making excuses for himself, which is what we want to see from anybody. You know, he's human. He had a very misguided moment of weakness and moment of irrationality. And he's a human. He's not a robot.
But he also had the chance to apologize to Chris Rock less than an hour later in that acceptance speech, but he didn't even do that. He left Chris Rock out of that apology. Now, almost 24 hours later, he's issued an apology. How would you be advising him right now?
Well, I think the first thing you have to do is figure out with a client where their mindset is. I think that something else is going on there. The whole thing didn't make sense. I didn't take it as a jab. I mean, Demi Moore was incredibly gorgeous and hot in G.I. Jane. So I don't think Chris Rock suggesting that, that Jada would be a good casting decision for the sequel to G.I. Jane was an insult. And then, Will was laughing at it, and then all of a sudden he's jumping on stage to assault him.
He is the other side of this, and not a lot of people are talking about him today. Does he have any crisis management to do? I mean, his job is to make jokes.
No.
It would seem in poor taste to make a joke about a symptom of Jada Smith's medical diagnosis, but he says he didn't know about that. He just kept his cool.
I didn't know about it.
He kept on performing, and his ticket sales are actually going up now.
Yeah, I mean, maybe that's a function of what happened last night, but Chris Rock is one of the most brilliant stand-up comedians to ever walk the face of the earth. Chris was doing just fine before this happened. He was selling out well before this ever happened. So I don't think that in the grand scheme of things, it really has any bearing on the overall trajectory of his career. And I certainly don't think that he needs any kind of crisis management advice right now. He had the option to press charges. I think he rightly so declined. And I'm sure there will be some kind of communication behind the scenes. And at the end of the day, we're just, this is going to be another moment in the history of crazy things that have happened on live television, in the vein of Kanye West interrupting Taylor Swift, or, the Janet Jackson wardrobe malfunction. I mean, I do think that within a few days, we'll be moving on to something else. I think that Will Smith will still have his career. Hopefully he'll be a little more, a little wiser with his immediate gut reactions, and he'll talk to somebody about what, inspired him to do what he did last night. But I think at the end of the day, everybody's going to be just fine.
Okay, Pam, thank you. I think you'll always have a job in Hollywood. Thank you. Appreciate your time tonight. And
Thanks
public opinion is...
Thanks for watching. Click the red subscribe button below so you can get more of NewsNation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.